Hello, welcome again to Thinking Christianly about the virus, and this is our fifth session, so I'm going to use it to sum up where we've got to this week, and I've called this one a Summons to Faith. We began this week, if you remember, thinking about one way in which the covenant between God and humanity is seen in the Bible. I proposed that it was not so much a matter of God blesses those who obey God's law, but more that if we abuse the order of God's creation, things will go wrong. And I commented that abuse of creation leading to disaster is an idea on which religion and science broadly agree. We then went on to see three ways in which God uses disaster in the Hebrew Bible, our Old Testament. And they were to bring about liberation, to bring about justice, and to bring about restoration. And I suggested that the current virus might bring about those things for the world. Thirdly, we saw how David chose plague over combat and famine, because in his view it meant that he was placing himself and his people directly into the hands of God, where he expected to find mercy. And yesterday, we thought about God being a God of resurrection, renewal, and restoration. And I said, hope is hearing the music of the future. Faith is the confidence to dance to it now. The words of Ruben Malvez. And that our faith comes from the tomb that life himself burst open. So today, at the end of week 1, I want to think about the so what. How do we then live in light of what I've said so far? Particularly, how are we to live if we try to follow Jesus, God's word made flesh? And I think there are two things to ponder. Firstly, I think that if the Bible is about anything, it's about God's uncompromising commitment to God's humanity and to the whole of creation. God is completely, uncompromisingly committed to those he's made and to that which God has made. Over and over again, God reaches out to us through one couple, Abraham and Sarah, through a people liberated from slavery in Egypt, through a people established in a land, through prophets who spoke on God's behalf, and finally, through a Son, the Word made flesh. And God remains uncompromisingly committed to creation. And so God's people must commit to uncompromising hope. Not the wishful thinking of, we'll get through this. Not even the wishful thinking of, there will be a vaccine. But the absolute, steadfast hope that God will not abandon us, and that resurrection, renewal, and restoration are always possible. Second, if that is the hope that hears the music of the future, and faith that dances to it now, we must live in the light of God's commitment. The letter to the Hebrews says that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not yet seen. The role of the church as a whole is to live confidently in the knowledge that the virus is not the end. The virus is penultimate, because ultimately God will have God's new creation. Somehow this curse will be broken and resurrection life will break out, and in the end nothing will hold it back.